Hello, welcome back to these exam and study sessions, which again are for dyslexic students as well as anybody else who's interested or having problems preparing for their exams and their coursework. In the last session I went back to Sid the Snake, and I was looking very much at how you can plan your year and plan in the weeks before the exam for research and revision, etc., etc. Now we're going to look at one of the biggest problems that students face in exam revision, and that is preparing a study week. Some students get incredibly tired, they overdo it, etc., etc., to the extent that sometimes they're too tired to even go into the exam, and then their memory fails them, etc. So what I'm doing here now is that I am looking at a normal week, a 7-day week, and I'm going to kind of roughly break this down into some study periods. Now, something to mention here quite quickly is that one, the mind does get tired. Now, if you are dyslexic or you have some learning difficulties or you have an illness, etc., etc., you are going to get tired more quickly. But also your attention span can always maintain 2 or 3 hours at a go. Sometimes you forget what you've written. And again, in other sessions I'll be looking at mind mapping, which can help you to revive that memory and to help you in recall when you go into the exam and preparing a kind of a plan or a kind of some way of recording information. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of plan a week of study. So let's say, for example, I've got 3 exams that I'm preparing for. But also, I could also be doing, without the exams, I could just be doing normal coursework for the year. So it's applicable to both types of work. What I try to do, and I said I get very tired and my concentration goes, is that I try to do at least 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day study. So, hypothetically, Monday, let's say for example, I've got, I'm more of a morning person. This is another thing to remember. If work into the equation, if you're a morning or an evening person, let's say you don't get out of bed till 12 noon, which some of my students do. Some students are up at 7 in the morning. So work according to when you are most alert, when you are most kind of focused. So as I'm more a morning person, I may try to get, let's say, on a Monday I would do 2 hours between 10 and 12. Let's say between 3 and 5 I do another 2 hours, and then between, say, 7 and 9 another 2 hours. Now, if I did that every day, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, I've got 36 hours already. Okay? Now, the thing about having these 2 set hours is that this intensifies the amount of work that you're doing, you're writing, etc., etc. I would also say that within these 2 hours, maybe have 10 minutes in between after 45, 50 minutes to have a little break, just to get your head kind of motivated and clear into the next session. You're fresh, you're alert, and you're focused. Also, within this, to maybe possibly stop wasting time, I may want to kind of, let's say after 12 o'clock, to let me go around and get some fresh air. I may take in what I call a prep. Now, a prep hour can also be used after classes, etc. Is that this is when I can get books, this is when I can do photocopying, this is when I can do lots of different little chores to save me not going into these 2 hours. Okay? So the idea is that this is what I call mucking about time, running around time, in the library time, maybe seeing some people, maybe even sitting down having a coffee somewhere with some of the books or some of the papers that I'm going to use later on in my study. The other thing to remember is that please do have a break. Please do have a break. I'm a great believer in siestas, into resting. I mean, I have to personally myself, so I can actually carry on the workload that I've got to do. So, for me, I would have my dinner, well, lunch, let's say, between 1 and 3. And then I have my dinner, my evening meal, then here. And then if I want to go out in the evening or watch some television or relax or whatever, then after 9 I can do that. What I also say to all students is please do have a day off. Do not do 7 days a week. Okay? 6 days a week. I here have chosen Sunday to have off, my day off, but some students or some people may want to have a Saturday off. They can go in a town, they can do some shopping or whatever they want. Basically free their mind up and do some more gathering of data or go into a library or whatever. What's also important here, within these 2 hours that you have a break, you're having dinner, you're having dinner here, on this line here, and also in the afternoon, that I'm not just going to sleep, I'm not just having dinner. I actually use it for other things. So for example, I may watch a documentary in the afternoon, I may watch a documentary in the evening, which has relationship to the work that I'm doing. So if I'm not sitting down in front of books or preparing mind maps, I'm watching documentaries and other visual kind of data that helps me gather information that I need. And the same thing, obviously, in the evening. Now, the beauty of this is that, again, as we said, we found with snakes, is that by having this on your wall, or having it on your fridge, or on your door, is that you are actually beginning to structure and tell yourself when you have a rest, when you do your work, when you have a rest, when you do your work, etc., etc. And this game helps, especially if you have organisational dyslexia or you have problems organising your work and you go over, let's say 3 or 4 hours at a go and you're exhausted. This helps you to say, no, you come to 1 o'clock, you know it's time for lunch, and you go out, it's 12 o'clock, you go out and run around and relax and maybe do some preparation. And then also you know that 1 day a week is your day and you go out and relax. So again, I hope this helps. But as I said before, gauge it depending on what kind of learner you are. Some of you may want to kind of work until 2 in the morning. And they maybe get up at 12 noon and start working at 2 and structure out your day that way.